Have you played Mount & Blade Warband? I have. And in every single playthrough I started in that game, I would spend at least 6 of the first hours in the arena, because it was the best way to train and it was really fun. I could never get enough of the arena, and I think the reason for that is that inside every man is the screaming desire to kill a man in front of a crowd of cheering onlookers. Unfortunately, the arena mode in Mount & Blade Warband is pretty bare bones and is really missing that gladiator feel. But fortunately, there is a video game being developed by one man that gives you that gladiator experience, with multiple arenas and variety in the quantity and quality of enemies you will face. We Who Are About to Die, a roguelite gladiator experience that I can't get enough of. The game is early access, so it will be more fleshed out with time, but what is already here is really fun. Gameplay. After playing Hogwarts Legacy, I can really appreciate a game that has a fast opening and a tutorial that is basically just, here's how everything works, good luck loser. During the tutorial, the game tells you that the game has a unique combat system and that you will struggle to even land a solid hit. And that wasn't really the case for me. I actually felt that the combat system was fairly intuitive and came mostly naturally. The thing I struggled with most was the aiming, and I'm still not 100% on it. You have a top-down perspective, so translating where the cursor is supposed to be for you to hit a high hit or a low hit is a little strange, but I think just placing the cursor on the enemy bodies is a good start. And the focused targeting system will help you a lot with that. Okay, that's the aiming, but what about the rest? Tap the left mouse and you will stab with your weapon or do a little love tap. It's different depending on the weapon, but for swings you hold left mouse and then drag your mouse in a direction and the weapon will swing in the opposite direction, and the damage you do is momentum based. More momentum, more damage. The momentum can also lead to some funny moments, like you missing an enemy with your main swing, but then you hit them with your weapon on the way back. Throwing your weapon is something I never learned how to do properly, because you need to let go of the weapon at the perfect moment during your swing, and I never found that perfect moment. Also, you can pick up weapons and shields off the ground and use them. You drop your current weapon with E and drop shield with Q. You block with the right mouse button and you just need to aim your weapon or shield so that it will block the path of the enemy weapon. The last thing you can do is kick or do a shield bash. Now that I have over-explained the controls, we can actually get to the meat of the game. Carving your path through the gladiator arena. Let's start with the actual matches. You get to choose between 3 to 4 random options, and here is what type of match an option could be. 1 versus 1, many versus many teams versus many teams, you and many others versus one lucky guy, or you versus many lucky boys. The matches can also feature different arenas like a simple pit, or arenas with different layouts, or arenas with traps. These different variables for the matches are what keep the game fun for much longer. And there's also the modifiers for the matches. The 2 modifiers that make the most difference is the one where you enter a match with no weapons and have to make do with whatever weapons the crowd throws into the arena. And entourage. If you buy the Entourage Skolo upgrade, then when you enter a match with the Entourage modifier, you will get some additional Backstreet Boys to back you up. The Backstreet Boys aren't too good at killing, but they are a great distraction. So you can pick up weapons off the ground, but they aren't as good as the weapons you can buy. When you win a match, you get fame and gold. The gold you spend on the store, which features random items in 5 rarities. If there is an item you want but can't afford, you can have the shopkeep hold it with your fame. And you're gonna need to do that, because buying good gear for your gladiator is expensive. A weapon, maybe a shield, and armor for your chest, head and limbs. That takes a lot of money and some luck to get the right armor piece you want. Luckily you aren't just stuck re-rolling the shop endlessly. That would have been annoying. You can make a request that after your next match, your shop will be filled with a specific type of item, which is good. It gives you control over the randomness. But I don't think the request system is specific enough. At least when it comes to requesting armor. You can currently just request body armor, but what if I only want left-sided leg armor? Well, then I just have to hope I get at least one of that in the rarity I want, along with the other types of armor I'm very likely to get. But hey, I guess I can always just re-roll the shop 50 times. But when you're fully kitted out, then damn, those re-rolls were worth it. Armor and weapons can break, and it is very satisfying when you break a weapon to kill an enemy, or you shatter their armor. So you will need to repair your armor and weapons regularly. But since armor breaks, then it's the man beneath it that counts. This is where the stat system comes in. Generally, the rule is the more you use something, the better you will be with it. But you can also buy some training equipment to train specific things weekly. In the Skollo, you can buy some upgrades that make your roguelite runs easier, and exchange fame for money and vice versa. Now finally, the last system to talk about in this game. The patrons. They are the ones arranging all these arena matches, and if you fight in their arenas, you earn their favor, which has its benefits. And earning favor with patrons can be a victory condition. To tell you about victory conditions, I have to tell you about the backstories your gladiator can have. There are many, and they all have different victory conditions, like saving 100,000 gold for retirement, or getting a lot of favor with a patron so you can run for office. The backstories will also affect your runs quite a bit, because they all have different traits, like having more or less maximum health and stamina, or making more or less gold. You will feel this the most with a politician and the blacksmith's apprentice. The apprentice can't sell equipment for money, instead he gives the blacksmith the equipment to work off a debt. And once he has worked that debt off, he wins. And the politician has the entourage upgrade by default, and it's on for every single match, which makes the game kinda easy. Okay, now you know how the game works, and I can tell you why I think I enjoyed it. The combat, it's fun and challenging, even if it is kind of a messy shitshow. Every time I swing my weapon, I'm never fully sure of how that swing is gonna go. There are a lot of factors that can impact how it will go, and that means I don't have full control over the swing. Or at least I don't currently know how to fully control the swing. This is a game that's hard to master, but the journey to mastery is fun, and it takes a fair degree of skill. You gotta place the cursor in the right place, you gotta calculate what direction you should swing the weapon so that it will be the hardest for the enemy to block. You gotta have good positioning, and currently you have to account for some early access jank. A good example of that is when I swing my two-handed sword a lot. Sometimes my hands will get stuck behind my head. which can be stressful given the high stakes nature of the game where 2 or 3 wrong moves can mean the whole run is over. And because of that, I really get into every match, because I have to perform well to keep my run going. I liked how different my runs felt with the different backstories. It kept things from feeling like the same thing again and again. And I love the whole rise to the top aspect of the game. There's this level system that's basically just higher level equals harder enemies, but even if they are harder, you can kill them just as quickly as the easier enemies. And an easier enemy can be just as much of a threat as the harder enemy if you don't take them seriously. And I like that aspect. It means I could kill those harder enemies without too much stress right from the beginning. Gear matters, but not too much. I also enjoyed getting all the gear for my characters, but I am a little worried that it's just because of some gambling dopamine high. Every time you beat the game with a backstory, you will get a unique benefit to all your future playthroughs, and that encouraged me to finish all the backstories. I wanted to see what upgrade I would get, and speaking of that, you can invest in your next character so they will get some gold, and you can have one item carry over, so you don't have to start from scratch. There's also the momentum and the physics. It is so satisfying to slam an enemy with a hammer with a lot of momentum, because if you kill them, they go flying. If you don't kill them, then they get knocked back and stumble around. Not as satisfying, but still very satisfying. And my favorite part about the two-handed sword is cutting enemies in half. God, it's just so good. I sound like an absolute psychopath, but I don't care. The developer of this game is one man named Jordi. Jordi, my man, you did a great job. A combat system that is both skill reliant and with a lot of randomness, and from the gore I can tell that you are a fellow demented freak. With the gearing and stats, I appreciate how much control you give the player over it, but I would appreciate a little more. Jordi, from one freak to another, I love this game. Thank you. Conclusion. This is an early access game, and my standard recommendation for early access games is to wait as long as you can for the game to get more content. But also, you should buy the game if you want to make your voice heard and be part of the feedback process. Here's a good example of that. The frame rate seems to go lower the longer you play, almost like a memory leak or something was happening. I had been playing for 6 hours and the frame rate was down to like 24, which is not good. It's usually 60. Now Jordi can fix that and it won't bother us on release. The content that is here already is damn good and well worth the $22. I give the game my highest recommendation, and if you don't buy it, I don't think I can legally say what I will do to you, but you've been warned. I might just add insult to injury and send you a cursed email chain. Better hope Bloody Mary gets to you before I do. I give the game a Russell Crowe from that Gladiator movie that's probably older than you, out of the interactive buddy flash game, because the characters in this game kinda move like him. A real rubbery boy, just like the Backstreet Boys from this game. Flash games were for my generation what mobile games are for yours. I just assume my viewers are like 20 or younger. In YouTube years, I'm ancient. Subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have an awesome day.